Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode 122 today for the Japanese Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Russian Grand Prix, then be sure to go check the one out before you see this one. That was a very important race for the championship, but some of you may have missed it because it seemed like YouTube had a little bit of a funny publishing issue yesterday, so definitely see that one before you see the rest of this, because it is pretty important going into this one now that Waber leads the championship from myself. Verstappen had a nightmare second race in a row, following the DNF at the Singapore GP. He had to bounce back. He did not, so now he really needs to deliver, otherwise he could kind of fall out this championship fight quite late on, and Devin Butler is still very much kind of in there. Obviously had a weaker race, and it was kind of the Renault show once again with a 1-2 for us there, a return to form, I guess, for the yellow outfit here at Renault, but Butler's still very much in contention and could do very well at Japan, as could we, obviously. Sector 1, I think, is going to really suit the Renault and the Red Bull car. The Ferrari, though, will be pretty quick in Sector 3, so I think it should be, hopefully, quite a tight fight between all four of us. So let's go to qualifying then and see how we do over one lap.
Welcome to Japan and the impressive Suzuka track for today's qualifying session, where we should be underway shortly. In recent seasons, much talk has been made about tyre wear. Some say it gets in the way of the racing, others say it's always been part of the sport. Are we going to see drivers trying to look after their tyres here, or throw caution to the wind and worry about that when it becomes a problem?
Tyre wear is always something you have to consider to a certain degree. Finding a good car balance that suits the circuit will help prolong the life of the tyre, but it's true that some circuits, such as this one, are more challenging than others. How hard you can push them depends on your strategy and how tight the battle is around you.
So it's a very gloomy day then at Suzuka. I don't know what's been up really as of late with the career mode, but the last 3 episodes have been quite doom and gloom in terms of some of the weather throughout the episode. But thankfully no rain will be coming down. What was pretty negative though was that first lap that we set in qualifying wasn't too great. Made a mistake into Spoon, getting the rear kind of end kicked out in Sector 1. Also could have been a lot faster, and you're about to see here through turns 1, I just wasn't very quick on that first fly, getting about 5, 6 tenths in Sector 1 alone, just being way more aggressive, a bit more kind of darting, I guess you could say, with the steering wheel, and then across the line, nearly, more than 2 seconds gain, actually, just above, and we go P2 then. Verstappen on provisional pole as it stands. Butler in 3rd place there. I don't know where Waber is, but at the moment, the top 3 there, 3 of the people in the championship fight, so good to see. We're now on that 3rd and final flying lap there, and we've gained a decent amount of time also on this 3rd run, so we could go pole position. We'll have to see how it goes. Waber's now set a faster time. Verstappen as well across the line for us, and it's going to be P2, I think, yet again on the starting grid, and it's going to be Max Verstappen that grabs pole position. So he might be listening to me. It's a return to form for the Dutchman and the Ferrari car on pole. Butler is in 3rd place, and Waber was pushed down to 4th in the end, but great to see that in qualifying the 4 people in the championship fight are the 4 in qualifying. We've had it many times in the race where it's been like that, but we've not actually rarely had it in qualifying. Quite a few times, some of us in the championship fight have had to make up places in the race to get to that top 4, whereas this is supreme. It's what you want to see. You've probably heard me say that phrase so many times, but it's just because it's so true, and it's never been the case in the few seasons we've done in this career mode. This is the first season where consistently the guys in the hunt for the championship are always just there, whereas before it's kind of been like a yo-yo effect of bad luck, good luck, bad luck, good luck, but it's been relatively quite consistent for all 4 of us. So we go to the race then, front row again, but can we get that win, that elusive win? We haven't got it in the last 2 that we start on the front row. 3rd time lucky. Let's have a look. Let's go to the grid for the Japanese Grand Prix.
And a very warm welcome to the Japanese Grand Prix, an event that has decided a Drivers' Championship 11 times over the years and has hosted some very memorable races as well. Who can forget Kimi Raikkonen's win from 17th on the grid in 2005, or Kamui Kobayashi's incredible drive to a podium in 2012. We're southwest of the city of Nagoya today at the unique figure-of-8 Suzuka circuit. 3.6 miles and 18 corners make up a lap here, with average speeds approaching 136 miles per hour. DRS will be available, of course, into the potential passing opportunity at turn 1, although the best place for overtaking will be through 130R and into the final chicane. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. That was a great podium in the last race, so can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
Well, Waber has a reputation for consistency that goes back to his days in F2, but as we've seen before, being consistent and consistently winning F1 races can be two very different things. Every weekend poses its own challenges, and how he deals with those will have more impact than his performance in the last race.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position, and the engineer completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Butler, Weber, Lance Stroll, and Perez, Russell, Ricciardo, Norris, and Lewis Hamilton, Kvyat, Hülkenberg, Charles Leclerc, and Raikkonen, Bottas, Grosjean, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Kevin Magnussen. Vettel and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So the overcast weather continues on to Sunday, but it will be getting sunnier as we go on to the end of the day. I guess, that's not really going to affect much apart from just maybe your general outlook and mood looking at the visuals of the video. But in terms of the strategy, we're going to lower down the fuel now. Again, we didn't do so at Russia, but Japan, I think we can save enough fuel in Sector 1. And also here at Japan, for some reason, the ERS deployment's really quite a lot in Sector 2 and 3, I guess because you're on throttle for so much. And even Sector 1, you're on throttle for quite a bit because you're just rolling the car through. So we're gonna have to definitely manage the ERS a lot more than we have done in previous races in Sector 1. So that in turn will give us a chance to save the fuel that we're taking out right now to have a lighter car at the start. Obviously trying to be as punchy as we can at the start of this Grand Prix. And as per usual, as has been the case for pretty much every race this season, bar maybe one or two, it's going to be a pretty easy one-stop, I should think, from the soft to the medium tyres. But like I just said at the end of qualifying, can it be third time lucky for us then on the front row of a grid, but trying to go for that win in the last 3 episodes as we go to 5 red lights to the Japanese Grand Prix, and we're underway. It's a good start for Verstappen. It's a decent one for me as we go towards turn 1 though. Waber gets a toe, gets the nose in, and he makes a little bit of contact with us. So we wheel bang on the front right to his front left, gone out wide and being sent down by the inside by Devin Butler as well. On the outside of the left-hander, we now go neck and neck with the Brit in the Red Bull. Waber second place comfortably now, and Butler's still got the nose, so we're still fighting for third place here. It's been a horrendous opening first sector, and even worse there as Butler gets the job done. We get the left tyre on the curb, and that curb just spits you out straight away with the elevation it's got, so had to even get control to keep it in a straight line, and so we live to just stay in P4 thankfully, but it's been a horrendous first lap then. We're down 2 positions. Verstappen already has a decent lead now in first place. Waber close second behind. You can see now we're chasing after Butler on lap number 2, getting our composure back with a purple first sector, green second, and already, look at the mini-map there, if you can look close enough, we're already in a world of our own. The top 4 here, Verstappen, Waber, Butler, and myself, as we're pushing each other on. Waber keeping Verstappen honest, and I'm keeping Butler honest at this stage of the Grand Prix. But as we swing through now to the end of lap number 3, taking a lot of curb here on the right and then the left down the crest, that awkward bump here at Japan. Open DRS now for the first time in this race. Purple second sector there, and we're gaining quite a decent bit on the Red Bull car. Going to go to the left-hand side, the natural racing line on the outside. Contact made though with Butler as he gets the elbows out. We're forced off circuit, so I guess I know what the game plan is today for everyone. It's just be as aggressive as possible. We've had such an aggressive turn 1, making contact with Waber and Butler, and then straight away again, once again, the first time I try and make an overtake, Butler just gets the elbows out and really does not want to give it the position. So we're going to have to try and be just as aggressive back, I feel, on the outside now into the chicane on lap number 4. Butler is really taking liberties there as he knocks over the bollard cone, or the upright there. So we're now neck and neck, and it's literally a drag race now as we go down the hill onto the main straight. The Red Bull has the speed though with DRS, unfortunately for me. Very annoying that he was the one that got that. And into turn 1, I really can't make a move there. Had a little thought to the inside, but it's just nigh on impossible to make a move like that when the AI are going so aggressive on the defensive drive. So we have to go again, third time lucky now on Butler on lap number 5 through to 130. We close up, lift off a little bit to make sure we don't hit the back of him there, and then we're on the left hand side once again. But look how close that is to my front right tyre, to his bargeboard area, pretty much almost interlocked with his car there into the brake zone, but we make it work up into P3, open DRS, second bite of the cherry effectively there for us in terms of we've got the tow through 130R, and then we can actually have the proper DRS activation on the main straight to pull away in P3. Engineer asking for a change of strategy. I agree to that because I feel like we're going to want to use the soft tyres a bit more because I've hardly really been that aggressive so far in this Grand Prix and haven't really been pushing that much. But now, lap number 9, that's when we can push as we're now in clean air using rich mix and then down to standard in sector 1 and down to non-ERS to save enough ERS to use it all in sectors 2 and 3 there. And that's working out for us because by the time we get to lap number 10 then on the back straight, that lovely bit of slipstream, long toe off Waber, pulling us in there with overtake mode, and we're now closing up to our teammate finally for P number 2. Verstappen not too far down the road either, so even though we spent a lot of laps kind of dawdling and kind of getting caught up with Butler, we are not out of this fight yet for the race win or P2 as it stands right now as we open up DRS now, and we've got overtake rich mix again, fast up the Grand Prix for us, so we're going pretty damn quick now in this GP, and it's going to be a pretty simple, easy move on the right up into P2 now, and now we try and push on to close the gap to Verstappen, but he's going to come in on lap number 11 as well as our teammate Lucas Waber. So we continue on now for one more lap like we told our engineer we would, and we're going to try and go for an overcut strategy, which, I mean, both kind of work, the undercut and overcut here at Suzuka. Kind of depends on ultimately the traffic you hit in sectors 1 and 2. So I was in clean air, so the hope is that I've gained on Verstappen and not lost out to Waber as well, as we now strap on the yellow wall set of medium tyres and go down the pit lane, look on the left-hand side to the minimap and see where on earth Verstappen is. There he comes, just very faintly there on the bottom of the minimap there as we are still crawling towards that line, and now we can release the pit limiter and Verstappen is going to be through, but look how close we are. We have gained a decent amount there, so I suspect that Verstappen did in fact hit traffic, and the same with Waber as well. We've kind of slotted in quite nicely with the same gap either side of us there, and so this is very much still a three-way fight for this race win. I believe, unfortunately for Butler's sake, he's kind of out of this a little bit too far away, but he's still doing a decent job to remain in P4, and all four of us are in a world of our own on the circuit compared to everyone else in terms of the race pace we're showing. But here we are now, tucked up behind Verstappen's gearbox through the chicane. We're going to have DRS, Waber's also there, so could it be a double move, I wonder? Let's see. No, doesn't look like it because the Ferrari's very quick in a straight line naturally, so only time for us to make the move. Verstappen is also, I only just noticed, on the hard tyre compound there for some reason on the white wall, so as we get up into first place of the Japanese Grand Prix, Verstappen, I think him and Ferrari have just set themselves up for failure here. Surely on the hard tyres, there's no way they can keep behind us two Renaults on the mediums, and so here goes Lucas Waber, only I think 2 or 3 laps later as the sun comes out here at Suzuka. Waber up into second place, Verstappen down to third, and I honestly think this man, Butler, in fourth place, he might have a good chance of closing up to Verstappen for P3 because of those hard tyre choices. But we're going to move back to our fight because now Waber is gunning for the race lead as we go side by side through 130R, practically banging tyres as we do so through the apex. He's locked up, I've locked up, we make some contact with the German, our teammate in the other Renault. We're still side by side through the exit now, down the hill, massive tank of oversteer there for us as we hit the bump at Japan. Open DRS, block off Verstappen a little bit on the right hand side, now get back in the tow on Waber. Can we go sail round the long way round? Oh, contact made with Waber, he's locked up though. We come back down the inside, more contact made, and now we lost the rear end, and Verstappen has a look to the inside. We're going to have to try and defend into sector 1. My word, that was a very hectic, what was that, 20-30 seconds of the GP there from the end of that lap into the first. So much happened. Waber contact, pushed us wide just like Butler did, but then he locked up for a second time. He had one major lock up into the chicane, which I also had, but then after forcing me wide, surprisingly locked up again a further time in the apex of turn 1, allowed me to try down the inside. In hindsight, probably shouldn't have tried it because it was always going to close, but I went for it there because at the moment, honestly, it looks like all four of us just want to scrap, basically. The aggression levels are very much a lot higher than they have been in previous Grand Prix. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that time of the season, you know, it's crunch time now, everyone knows it, and so we're all getting very argy-bargy, so I just went for it, didn't work out there. Thankfully kept the car going in a straight line, because that could have easily been me spun out, but thankfully not, and we're still within this fight here, but we come at a rate of knots with DRS to overtake Waber for the race, and as we do it, the red mist descends a little bit in the cockpit, I can't lie, a little bit of a cheeky love tap on the right-hand side. They're just letting Waber know on the exit as well that I did not appreciate went on basically on the previous lap. Even though I did send it late into turn 1, I thought some of his driving was a little bit questionable there. So just having my little fair share of kind of, giving it back essentially. But now into the chicane once more. Waber so supreme under braking there. Round the outside. Again, we find ourselves on the right, awkwardly going on the exit curb on the inside there. But we jockey for position as Waber loses the back end a little bit. Verstappen, though, is there in the mix and he gets it on the left, so I can't go onto the left-hand side, or can I? We're in the toe of Waber. Verstappen on the outside. Verstappen's round! Oh, he's made contact with Waber, and Verstappen is slow, and now there goes Devon Butler up into third place. So the Brit in the Red Bull in third now on the medium tires. He was catching us anyway because we're all fighting so much. But Verstappen, half spin for him. He keeps it going. No damage for the Dutchman, so he's going to remain in P4. But I think that's his race over then for the race leaders. We continue on to fight Waber. Again, trying to make a move for the race lead. But can we try and make it stick now for more than one lap here? Because every time, Waber just keeps on getting that great slipstream down the back straight through 130R. And is so supreme at that brake zone, the chicane. This time we go again, lap 23 at the end of that lap. It's no surprise again, Waber's there on the outside this time on 130R, and that allows me to squeeze him out somewhat, and he has to back out of that with the throttle, and so he's unable to make a move in the last chicane, but he may have a great exit, as all the AI do off this corner compared to myself, especially. Never really gelled with the last corner at Suzuka on F1 2019, and there he is now. We're going to squeeze him to the wall, and he's literally pixels away from the wall on the right hand side there. We're going to have to try and do the best job we can now, sending it to the inside. Lovely little switch from the left to the right there, and we get the job done once more. But at some point I need to beg that we can try and get away in sectors 1 and 2 and just have a decent enough gap that even if Waber has DRS, if it's just on the edge of that 1 second, we can maybe pull away. Alas, that's not going to be the case on lap 25 at least, with now 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix, including the one we're on right now. Waber on the inside for what is like the 6th or 7th time now in this Grand Prix. Again though, we're able to defend, and that time he really backed out of it there. You saw as I looked back behind me, and he's now actually tucked up just ahead of Butler as we almost lose the back end into the chicane as well. So you can see all of us on fine edge margins in terms of driving the car on the limit. Onto the second last lap of the Grand Prix, we go defensive to the inside, and we're going to keep first place. Waber, you can see, moves about in the brake zone trying to make something work, but I think hopefully this could be it now as we move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. We maintain the lead onto that last sector, and Waber is quite some way behind now, so we did a decent effort on lap 26 and lap 27 in sectors 2 especially to get away from the German, and so we are going to finally get that win, that elusive win from the front row of the grid in the last 3 episodes here as we come through the last 2 corners down the hill to take victory at the Japanese Grand Prix. It's another 1-2 though for Renault, so the team will also be happy with that.
Superb driving. That's the race win.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top drawer to take the win for Renault. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
As today's winners make their way up the podium steps, the team at Renault have shown once again what it takes to build a successful Formula One team. A well-deserved win for them.
So we're going to punch straight back at Waber after losing out to him and the victory at the last GP at Russia. So pretty much level back on the gap we had going into Russia then. Butler third place. That's a decent result for him to get ahead of Verstappen, and it's another poor showing. It's not as bad as previous races, but Verstappen getting P4, that's not what he needed. He needed at least like minimum P2 to try and get him back into this thing. He's still mathematically there, don't get me wrong, but it's just looking less and less unlikely Verstappen's still going to be in this. And if it keeps going on like this, it very much will just be, quite neatly to be fair, me and my F2 story mode AI, Waber and Butler. But very much at the moment now, it's been all Renault shows, so maybe it just might be us two with the Renault civil war going on here, because definitely the red mist did definitely descend a few times this episode, and the gloves did come off quite often in that race. But hopefully entertaining nonetheless for you guys to watch. But the championship burns on again, and you can see things are close still between myself and the German for first and and 2nd place. Guys, if you did enjoy that episode, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.